Well, good morning. I'm Yasmin West with Radio Bob, and I am here with a very special guest, Maria Garcia. And she has a very special story to tell of her own personal journey into healing herself and doing most of that heavy lifting through nutrition. And the reason why I wanted her to come on the show today was because this is not common knowledge, unfortunately. When something happens to us health-wise and we go see our doctors, typically nutrition is not the first thing that they suggest. And she's here to tell a little bit of her story and how she discovered this on her own. And so I'd like to say welcome to Maria and go ahead and introduce yourself and give us an idea of, how this all started for you.
Hi, Jasmine. How are you?
Great.
Great to be here. Happy to be here. So going back to the day where it happened, it was 2005, January morning, and I went to my parents' house because we were having a brunch sort of thing, and there was so much food and it was so delicious. There was shrimp, and after lunch, I went to my apartment, which was one floor under my parents, and a friend of mine was with me. And I was in the other room speaking on the phone to a friend in London. And all of a sudden, I started speaking gibberish. The red ocean is underneath the kitchen floor. And as soon as I heard that coming out of my mouth, I got alarmed. I thought, what am I saying? That doesn't even make sense. And then I said something else, gibberish. And I thought, oh wow, something is very wrong here. I somehow managed to be coherent enough to get off the phone. And as soon as I did, I felt like somebody hit me with a cast iron pan over the head. Boom! My head just began to hurt, worse than it had ever hurt. And I fell onto my bed in the fetal position. My friend who was in the other room, he must have heard the commotion and ran over. He called my mother upstairs as well. She came down. I was curled up on my bed with the worst headache ever. I started to vomit, and everybody thought, man, she has food poisoning. And to be honest, I thought I had food poisoning too. I mean, it made sense. I had shrimp. Nobody else got sick, but who knows, right? So they called the ambulance. The ambulance came. They asked me a couple of questions. Who is the president? What year are we in? And I guess I was able to answer in a way that was satisfactory to them. They didn't think what was happening was really happening either. And they left. They left. But we ended up going to the hospital on our own. Excuse me, on our own. And I was there for a few hours. They ran a bunch of tests. And somebody finally walked over to me and said, Miss, we think you're having a stroke. And I thought, so much for food poisoning. That was my first thought. But then my second thought was, what's a stroke? I was 25. I had never even heard of the word.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So within 24 hours, I was totally paralyzed from the nose down, which means I was also a mute.
Right.
Yeah.
So that must have been absolutely terrifying, especially if you had no knowledge of what a stroke was because you were so young. You didn't know about these things yet.
Yeah, terrifying is not even the word. I mean, it was worse. The worst thing ever,
Yeah.
right? They also did an operation where they go in through my groin with
Mhm.
a device called something like balloon, and it went up to my brain and busted the clot, which ended up being 5 millimeters long. And they thought, or they said, the operation was a success by medical standards.
Yeah.
Although to me, it didn't feel like a success because nothing changed. I was still paralyzed and I'm still mute, right? So I come out of the operation. Everybody thinks I'm in a coma,
Oh,
and I'm
wow.
not in a coma. I could hear them, I could see them. They're thinking it's when my eyes are open, they're just open. They're thinking I'm in a vegetative state. And it was 2 weeks before they realized I was there.
Wow.
And meanwhile, organ donation people are speaking to my family. So
Oh, geez.
it was ugly.
Yeah. And I can't even imagine being fully coherent and hearing all these things people are saying, and you just wanting to say, hey, I'm still here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I was in a vegetative state, but I
Yeah.
wasn't.
Yeah.
And anyway, so a friend of mine was visiting me once, showing me pictures of a trip we took together, and she noticed I was tracking with my eyes.
Mhm.
So she alerted everyone. The medical staff told her that's involuntary eye movement. But apparently she told my family as well. And somebody thought to say blink once for yes and twice for no. And that's how communication with the world began.
Oh, thank God. It's we come so close sometimes, and
Right.
it's just a blessing to have, I call them these little angels that come into our lives sometimes that just make that difference.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So
So
everything slowly, oh, go ahead.
so you were out of the danger zone of being, you know, basically forgotten and left to die. So you were now able to communicate a little bit.
Yep. And then that progressed to system with the alphabet. When I could finally move, I started moving my index finger about 1/4 of an inch
Okay.
up and down, and it slowly progressed from there. Eventually, I was at the first hospital for 43 days, and during the time I was there, I didn't get therapy or anything, but I did begin to move my right arm. My brother, my mom, my dad, they made shifts so somebody would be with me around the clock, 24 hours a day. And I'm so grateful for that. I feel so blessed that they did that because not only did my brother move my limbs daily when I wasn't getting any therapy, and I credit that with me being able to move like I do today, everything. But that actually saved my life when I couldn't breathe on my own in the middle of the night, and if my mother had not been there, nobody would have gotten to me in time.
So, yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't realize, when you're you're sitting in a bed like that for such a long period of time, that can cause even more problems. And so
Yeah,
you were very fortunate, and you're incredibly grateful, and rightly so, to have someone do that for you and have the knowledge to do that. So,
yeah, that was wow. When I think back on it, it makes me want to cry, cry of happiness.
yeah, yeah. So now tell me, as you started to get better, um, that I'm assuming like you were starting to heal, but probably not to your satisfaction, right? And
Yeah, I started to heal very slowly,
yeah,
but I didn't have any reference for what a stroke was, so I had no idea that I was meant to be half paralyzed. I didn't know any of that. And I think that's also part of the reason why I'm not paralyzed today.
right. So I see so many people, see the doctor as the authority, but they really don't know. There's a lot they don't know. And when they give out a diagnosis, just telling people, "Oh, you'll never walk again," or whatever. Um, some people take that to heart and they don't even attempt to look for other options. So, like you, I think it was lucky that you didn't have that reference point
Right.
because it caused you to be curious and look for things. So
Yeah.
then
And
tell us about that, about kind of what you started searching for and what you found made a difference.
so I finally went home after 43 days in one hospital, 2 months in the rehab hospital. Then insurance ran out, of course, right? I go home and I thought to myself, with 2 months in this hospital, rehab hospital, I'm gonna be all patched up and I'm gonna go home and resume my life as it was before. I had no idea. Little did I know, right? So I get home, none of that happened. I was in a wheelchair. I was in diapers.
Oh,
I was, yeah, that was a
that's
very bitter pill to swallow.
yeah, that's because you're losing your dignity at that point. It's yeah.
Yeah, yep. My eyes were crossed also. They're not now, but they were crossed. So I basically look like, I don't know, an alien. Right. And, and it's funny, I remember my brother wheeling me down the street and people speaking to me or him, but they would speak to me like I was a 4-year old with zero comprehension. How are you? And I'm like, I'm not gonna hear you, better you speak louder.
Oh no.
But I understand that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny now, right? But at
Yeah.
the moment you're just
People just don't have the awareness.
right, right. Yeah, I understand. And so everything progressed from there. I started my mom and my brother and my dad, they were relentless. They had me doing therapy basically all day long. I had to learn how to handwrite again. I had to learn everything. My brother would come over daily. He would make me exercise however I could. I couldn't really exercise, but whatever I could do, he had me doing. We had a recumbent bike, the kind where you sit in like a chair. My mom would take me to that, and she said, "Okay, now we're gonna pedal." She sits me down. I put my feet on the pedals. They slipped right off. I couldn't even hold them up. That's how
Oh,
weak I was. And what did my
wow.
mom do? She tied my feet to the pedals
Oh, wow.
with a rope. Yeah.
Who says physical therapy can't be fun?
Right?
Yeah.
I hated every minute of it. I thought these people are freaking drill sergeants. I wanted to give up. But you know what? Thank God they did that.
Yeah.
Thank God they did that because I would have thrown in the cell if I had been by myself. I was I was ready to give up.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's completely understandable. And we need those people to push us past that point so that we can
So then, you know,
get out of our comfort zone. Yeah.
so then that became I finally could walk. This is like months, maybe even a year on. I began to walk different canes. Um, First a walker, then different canes. Then when I was potty trained, I went back to therapy, outpatient, and everything went from there. Um, I think the first thing I did that lifted the black cloud from over my head was joining yoga.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
thought that it was just be easy for me to do,
Hmm.
but it was such a great mental exercise.
Yeah.
And from there, I began researching treatments, doing different treatments. I went to Germany for therapy for 5 or 6 weeks. I had hyperbaric oxygen therapy. I did Feldenkrais method. I did stem cell injections. I did so many things. Jasmine, I was throwing noodles because I thought, you know what? I'm
Yeah.
25. I was probably 30 by then or in those years. And I figured I have to live another 50 years or whatever I live. I need quality of life. I can't stay the way I am. So I basically threw everything at it for that stroke for years. Researching, I didn't rest, basically. And when I got to 10 years post stroke, I had been plateaued for about 2 years. And I was at maybe 70% of what I used to be prior to the stroke. And I just got tired. I got so tired. I said, I'm done. This is it. I can't live my life to
Well,
find treatments.
yeah. And there's great therapies out there and they help, but it is exhausting. Some of these things are take a long time to work and just, they're really intrusive in your life and and they're not covered by insurance, right? So they're expensive as
Right,
well.
right.
So, you know, while it's great that we have this knowledge and these technologies and people are finding new and different ways to help address health problems, I think, everyone should at least look at kind of that base thing that you can do that's going to have the biggest impact and start with that first and then maybe do some of the additional therapies. So
Yeah.
for you, I know you shared that that was nutrition because you hadn't.
Yes, and that's
So tell us about that and how you stumbled across that.
so in the time where I was really heavy into my recovery, I had also been playing with my diet. I went from macrobiotic to pescatarian excuse me, pescatarian to vegetarian. So it seemed natural that 15 years after the stroke, when I saw an ad for a nutrition program, I thought, okay, I'm gonna learn something new about a topic I already like and I already follow.
Mhm.
even though I never thought anything could or would happen, because by this point I had been plateaued for 7 years at least. And so I joined this program, and I was hearing stuff that I had never in my life heard, and I was following along. It's a participation thing. It's not just a listening course.
Right.
And by the end of, I would say, 6 months, the course is 3, but I kept going with what I learned. And I would say at the end of 6 months, I'd recovered another maybe 20%, and I got my life back 15 years after a stroke. And I was
Wow.
so blown away by that, so shocked. And I had so many different emotions, right? Because number one, of course, I was happy as could be. But number
Right.
two, I was really frustrated because I thought, wow, if I had started with this, I wouldn't have had to suffer 15 years.
Right. Right. And and why wasn't that information available to you from your medical providers? And
Right?
and I get it. They themselves are not educated. They don't know what is possible through nutrition alone. And so if we don't have people around us that have that knowledge, um, we're not going to get it from our doctors.
Yeah, for sure. Because, like you said, they don't know because that's not how they're trained.
Yeah. So, that's something we need to be aware of. And, I often, I the phrase I like to use is, we shouldn't be outsourcing our health. That's something we should take charge of ourselves.
That is an excellent phrase.
Yeah. So you went through this amazing nutrition program and you started to see huge improvements in your own health. And now you help others, right?
Yeah, that I mean that very program, I was so shocked at what happened for me that I decided to peek under the hood and get certified in that same program. I wasn't even thinking about others. I just needed to know what that was, like what
Yeah,
happened, because where I'm coming from doing all these treatments. I changed my diet, I did everything, and nothing
right,
worked.
right.
And all of a sudden, here I am with my life in my hands again.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, it was just totally blown away. And I went through the program, became certified, and one of the things we had to do was have a pilot class.
Hmm.
And during my pilot class, I saw the success others are having, and wow, I can't even describe how amazing that was to see people stop using CPAP machines,
Hmm.
all kinds of things. People losing over 40 pounds in 3 months.
Yeah,
But
that's
that's
not supposed to be possible if you listen to the doctors.
right. Yep, that's true.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. What I do is it's not even a weight loss program. It's a health program. But when you focus on health, the weight just falls off by itself.
Right. Right. Because the body is back in balance and it can deal with what needs to be dealt with. Yeah, I've don't want to get too off topic here, but I've been learning as well, and what we think of as fat, it's actually the body's reaction to too much toxins and the body.
Yes. Yep. The body stores toxins in fats. Yeah.
Yeah. So. Well, I want to give you a few moments to go ahead and promote yourself and let people know if they are interested in taking a more natural journey back to health, as you did, how they can get in touch with you, and what types of things you would help them with.
Okay, so I do a 3-month program and basically begins with a very deep dive into your food psychology so that you end up not using willpower, but awareness instead to make changes that actually last, right? And that's what sets this program apart from other programs. And the best place to find me is on my website because I have a bit of an allergy to social media at the moment. So my website is genuinelymaria.com, and you can book a complimentary discovery call if this sounds interesting to you.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I know there's a lot of people becoming more aware about their health and these sorts of things, but I am still shocked to find so many people that are totally clueless.
Yeah,
So I thank you for your time today and just adding a little bit of awareness out there into the world. So if you're truly suffering from very serious medical conditions, nutrition can play a huge role in bringing you back to health. So, thank you for sharing your story with us. I know sometimes it can dredge up emotions, so I thank you for that as well. So, all right.
thank you for sure.
All right. Bye bye.
Take care.